Hi, Fan Recalved here. Today, I'd be explaining an interesting Nigerian movie titled Love and the Crown. Have fun watching. The movie begins with a scene where a family moves into their old house at a village. Even though the couple were very excited to be back at their village, their daughter wasn't so happy to spend her vacation there because there was no network and had never been to the village before. No matter how hard her parents tried convincing her to find some fun in spending the holidays there, she kept complaining, which got her father really angry. In the next scene, we see a blind woman having a conversation with her daughter. She tells her how bad she feels about her sight and not being able to work to be able to provide for her because of her eye defect. But her daughter, being a smart young girl, consoled her mother and gives her hope that everything was going to be okay one day, and also that she believed she would get her sight back, which made her mom a bit okay. Meanwhile, the village palace also welcomes their new king, queen, and prince. The head maid also started flirting with the king immediately, pretending to be welcoming him back, which got the queen really upset and she left inside. The king later argues with the queen about the head maid's attitude, but the king only defends her, saying she was only doing her job, and that he expects his wife to get used to all the treatment because she knew she was going to marry a king before getting married to him. The prince also has a conversation with his cousin, telling him how uncomfortable he was in the royal attire and how he didn't like the royal treatment. And his cousin expresses how jealous he was of him and how he wished he was the prince instead. The young girl takes her mother to the hospital to see a doctor concerning her eyesight, and the doctor tells them even though there was an improvement, a surgery still needed to be done for the mother to be able to see fully, and requested for a huge amount of money before the surgery could be started, which made the mother really upset and sad because she didn't know where she was going to get that amount of money from. The prince goes to see his mom, the queen, and tells her he wanted to go for a walk but not in royal attire. So the queen advised him to be careful and that he could go, but if he didn't want to go in royal attire with guards, then he shouldn't let anybody know his identity for his own safety, and he said he would do just that. While the blind woman and her daughter were returning from the hospital, the woman almost fell, and the prince and cousin, who were going for a walk by then, saw them and went to their rescue. After helping the woman up, the young girl thanks them and they leave. The family who had moved to the village not too long ago also got ready to go to the palace and see the queen and king because the man was one of the elders in the palace. The poor girl returns home very excited one day, and when her mom asks her the reason behind her excitement, she tells her she had gotten a job as a help for a rich girl and thereby could get some small monies to be able to at least afford food for them. But her mom wasn't so happy because she was sad she couldn't be the one to cater for her and her child because of her eye defect. But her daughter tells her it was okay because the payments could be very helpful for them for the time being, since they also needed money for her eye surgery. And her mom tells her that no matter what happens, she should be very careful, that if the people ever make her feel uncomfortable, she should stop the work and come back home. And she said she would do just that. When the other family got to the palace, the girl was so excited because the palace was very beautiful and she couldn't stop complimenting the queen. They requested to see the prince, but he asked his cousin to wear his clothes and go present himself as the prince because he wasn't willing to leave his room. The queen was surprised to see him in the royal attire, but the family were so excited to see a real prince, and the girl made friends with him immediately. Kentura's mother later introduced the poor girl to her as her new house help. She had to begin work immediately and was even more treated in addition. When she got home that day, she told her mom she had gotten some new clothes from the girl she was working for, that she was going to throw them out, but she decided to take them instead, which made her mother very sad because she thought her daughter should be living like a princess and not a help. Meanwhile, the prince and cousin continued their swapped identity in the palace, which made him very happy because he got to feel how it was to be a prince, and also stood a chance of dating Kentura. Kentura was very rude and mean towards the prince anytime she went to the palace because she thought he was rather the prince's help. There were even instances where he maltreated her help in their presence, which got the prince really upset. Kentura always tells him to mind his business anytime he tried defending her. Anytime they go for walks around the village, Kentura and the prince takes the lead, while the prince and her maid follow them like servants. Through that, they got talking and got to know each other and also became friends, and she even thanked him for helping her mom the last time. In the palace, the head bridesmaid kept flirting with the king, which made the queen really uncomfortable. One day, the prince asked the young girl why she was working as a help, and she tells him about her mother's illness and how she needed the money. While Kentua kept flirting with the prince's cousin, thinking he was the prince, just so she could get him to marry her one day for her to become a queen. The prince engaged Nelly in conversations and got to know her more, while his cousin also asked Kentura to be his girlfriend. Meanwhile, the head bridesmaid kept disrespecting the queen and treated her with no respect because she thought they were equal. She claimed she was the king's second wife anytime the queen tried questioning her for her wrongdoings. The poor girl reported to work late because her mom was sick and had to take her to the hospital. Her madam started scolding her immediately she saw her until her husband appeared and gave her money instead, out of pity so she'll be able to afford her mother's medication. But immediately he left home. His wife collected the money from her and ordered her to go continue her work. That day, when she followed Kentura to the palace, she was very sad and the prince asked her why. She told him she wanted to stay with her mother because she wasn't so well that day, but had to stay back and work instead because she was scared of losing her job. Upon hearing this, the prince offered to go stay with her mom while she worked. He went to their house and assisted her mom in any little way he could, and even stayed back to entertain her and have a conversation with her till her daughter returned home. They were both so grateful to the prince and thanked him before he left. The next day, the queen visited the blind woman and offered to pay her all her medical bills because her son had told her everything which has been happening to them and what she has been going through because of her eye defect. When her daughter returned from work, she told her the good news, which made her so happy. The prince later thanked his mom for helping them on his behalf. The next day, she told the prince about the queen's visit to their house and the help she offered in paying for her mother's medical bills, without knowing the prince was the one behind it, because she had no idea he was even the prince in the first place. Their friendship grew and they got closer with time, and her mother was also thankful that her daughter had finally gotten a friend in the village. One day, the prince took her to the palace and decided to tell her the truth about his identity, but before he could unveil anything, Kentura appeared and took her away. A ceremony was to be held at the palace, and while the head got ready, she expresses her excitement to one of the servants because the king would take a second wife after the ceremony and she knew that was going to be her. While the queen also got ready, she kept thinking about her husband taking a second wife after the ceremony, which made her really unhappy. Immediately after the ceremony, Kentura attacks her mother because the guy she always thought was the prince was rather the prince's cousin, and the real prince was the one who was dressed in royal art and stood right beside the king during the ceremony. The prince's cousin tried explaining and apologizing to Kentura, but she refused to listen because he had spoiled her chances of becoming the future queen. She also attacked her servant for wearing one of her clothes which she had thrown out long ago to the ceremony, and asked her who invited her because servants weren't allowed, and she told him it was the prince. She got angry and asked her to give her back her clothes immediately. The prince later explained things to her for her to understand why he swapped identity with his cousin, and also asked some of the maids to give her a new dress to wear. She looked so beautiful after being dressed, to the extent that the prince asked her to go with him to the program. He later took her home after the ceremony, and her mother thanked him for inviting her daughter out once in her life. At night, the head maid went to the king's room to seduce him because he thought they were going to marry no matter what and deserved to be treated as his wife. Just then, the queen walked in to find them on their matrimonial bed, which made her really angry. The next day, when the poor girl finished with work and was ready to go home, Kentura's mother framed her and accused her of stealing, which got her husband really angry because he didn't like thieves, and as punishment decided to lock her up in their house, preventing her from returning home. Her mother told the prince about her daughter's disappearance, and they both decided to go look for her at her workplace. Back in the palace, the king has a conversation with the head maid and tells her to move on with her life because he wasn't going to marry her anymore, while the queen listened from afar. He told her that he was in love with his wife now and wasn't willing to marry any other lady. in addition to her because his wife completes him. Apparently, before the queen and king got married, he was in love with the head maid, but his parents didn't allow him to marry her because she was from a poor home. So she thought the king would later marry her once he became the king of the state, and spent all her life waiting for his return, not knowing the king has changed his mind. This made her really heartbroken and sad, and decided to plead with the king to marry her, but the king refused. Meanwhile, his wife was very happy to hear that her husband loved her. Immediately they got to Kentura's house. She started calling out her daughter's name immediately until the man came downstairs. The man recognized her to be his wife, whom he had been looking for so many years now. Apparently, they were living together years ago, but then after she gave birth to Nelly, things became tight. They were having so many financial difficulties, which made them argue most of the time. So she left her daughter back to the village, and Kentura's mother also forced her way into his life with Kentura. Ever since they left, he had regretted his actions and had been looking for them till today. Kentura was surprised to find out that her father wasn't her biological father. When Nelly was later released, Kentura's mother apologized for accusing her that she did it so her daughter would be happy. Her mother didn't even listen and took her daughter home immediately. The queen later apologized to the king for doubting his love for her and accusing him of having an affair with the head maid. They then settled their issues, after which they hugged. The next day, Nelly's father went to their house to apologize to her and her mother for abandoning them and not being there for her while she was growing up. Even though she was angry at first, she later gave in to her father's pleas and forgave him and accepted back into her life as her father. The next thing, Kentura went to see the prince to apologize for how she treated him with no regards in the past and hoped that they could be friends, but the prince sent her away saying that Nelly was his girlfriend, which made Kentura so angry and she left in tears. Love and the Crown. The end. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If you like this video, kindly give us a thumbs up. Tell us what movie you would like us to recap next in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos like this. See you on the next episode.